Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Wednesday, July 22nd, 2020. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. One of the things that you'll notice here is that price has traded above the key range high over the last three sessions. Here's the key range high, key range low. Here's the midpoint of that key range. Very, very important high-low mids to continue to watch moving forward, because it's going to give us our long-term targets, and it's also going to give us actionable areas to do business as well at different areas of the chart here. And one thing that we're looking at is how is this price action going to play out here. Obviously the trend has been up for the month of July. This follows a pretty compressed June after the initial impulse where it built energy and forced that move here that we have to this current edge. But now, after trading above the key range high of 32.31s, are we going to see perhaps a pullback back into the range, or is any pullback going to be met with additional buying pressure that leads to that continuation out of this range? Again, we have upside targets that we're shooting for up here if we start to see that expansion. The first couple will be 3300 followed by 3385. Again, overall this bullish PEMA trigger zone has continued to be defended even as a low a couple of days back. If price were to drop into that zone yet again, say as deep as 3195 to 3205, that could provide a bounce opportunity that takes us into 3300 and perhaps into that upside target of 3385. Any failure right now to hold this 3231, say we drop down and drop into that 3200, if there's a failure to get back above 3230s, that could open up a bigger pullback that takes us into 3077.5 very, very quickly. So again, 3077.5 is going to be a zone that could be a very quick target if there is a point where we cannot hold that 3230 for an extended amount of time. Obviously we can drop down in there, and then we need to start to see this thing pull back out of that zone for a continuation toward 3300 and 3385. So the battle line is there, 3230. We're going to continue to watch that zone here. At the moment we're seeing a failed new low develop. Failed new low where price is pushed below the previous session's low, and so far prices have been rejected at that point back up. And if price can start to reclaim 3250, that could open up perhaps a bullish outside day where we see something like this, where price pushed below the previous low and closes back above the prior highs. Given that yesterday was a narrow range day, we could easily see this thing turn into a bullish outside day, at least for some short period of time, if it doesn't even hold. So again, if there is further strength through that 3250, we could see price push through the previous session's high to be, at least briefly, an outside day on the session. So again, a few things to watch out for as we head into the session here for the ES. If we take a look at the NQ, very similar price action again, very bullish market here for the NQ. Obviously we've been trending higher throughout the month of July. PEMA trigger zone has been in full effect. Again, I mentioned our traders exclusive webinar last Wednesday, so a week ago. We were right here this morning, and I discussed our rejection day trade sequence, which again has played out perfectly here. During this sequence, what we're looking for again is after a stop run day like we've seen here, we're looking for bulls to continue to defend that zone. 755 is going to be the area that bulls need to continue to defend here. And again, failed new low today developing barely, and that could lead to an ultimate continuation higher to new highs beyond 11,058s. So again, right now this market remains very bullish. Obviously there's a bit of a double top up here at the moment, but everything continues to show a bullish progression here until proven otherwise. We could literally drop into this PEMA trigger zone, perhaps as deep as 10.6, and still be a buying opportunity for a continuation higher. Failure to hold 755 could lead to a broader pullback, say as deep as 10.2, if price drops below 755 and cannot reclaim that area. So a couple of battle lines to continue to watch here for the NQ, but things look bullish still. We do have major earnings coming out from various tech companies today, including Tesla and Microsoft, and that could impact things in the NQ as well. Okay, let's take a look here at crude oil. This one's down on the day here, but off the lows. We see a bit of a bounce off the 41s here. Remember, 41 has been quite the resistance area here for crude. It wasn't able to get above that zone for 3 to 4 solid weeks. Finally getting a big explosive move above it yesterday, hitting 42.51. One thing that's important here is that price closed back below the previous month's high, the midpoint being right at that level, and now we have an inside day that's developing right around the center of the previous session's range. So right now, again, compression for crude oil. 41 continues to be a very important pivot here, that if price can continue to hold that zone, we can drop below it, but any trap below 41s by bulls could be seen as another squeeze into that 43 to 44 target zone above. If there's a failure to hold 44s for a prolonged period of time, that could open up a counter trend rotation. But right now, crude oil has been very bullish, although it has been very compressed lately, and energy is likely due to be released out of this compression very soon. So continue to watch 41s as the major pivot moving forward. Lastly, taking a look here at gold futures, you will see gold has exploded to the upside, finally getting a push through the 1830s, 1831 zone. We mentioned before 1820 was going to be very important, 1800 was going to be important. We had a multiple day narrow range here, and you see that energy being released to the upside. We had upside targets here at 1900 and 1957 as the major next upside targets to be reached based off of this key range, and overall we're likely going to continue to see this thing march toward that zone as long as 1820 remains intact. Now if you want to quantify this further here, we do have a 7-day range that we talked about in the previous session as being the very narrow range to watch, and look how price has already exploded, reaching the upper target zone of that ADR projection. Again, 125% plus of ADR range over a 7-day period. We've already seen that move, and again, we could continue to see further strength ahead as long as price remains above that 1820 level. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this develops the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.